But Jon, my talk content is real. It's my story. It's what I've experienced, what I've gone through. I don't need a speaker coach helping me figure out how to tell my stories. Well, for some speakers, that's true. But for many speakers, there are still benefits of working with a speaker coach to help you figure out how to tell your story in a powerful way that doesn't take away any authenticity. Today, I'm going to share with you here are the 3 benefits of working with a speaker coach to tell your story better from stage. Let's get started. Hi, I'm Jon Cook. I'm the founder of Keynote Content, helping clarify your message, elevate your impact, and change the world for good. 2 days ago, I connected with a speaker named Matt through LinkedIn. Matt was telling me about how his message is connecting with victims of violence and sharing his own story and how he weaves in hope and healing with his message. And he's changing lives around the world. He's got a powerful message. He told me, Jon, my concern is I don't want to work too much on what I have to say from stage so that I don't want it to feel like it's manufactured or like it's stealing any of the authenticity. I want it to be still organic and feel natural to me. And I told him, I agree with you. With where you're at right now, Matt, you have great momentum. You have a powerful message. The time is now for you to keep doing what you're doing. But for a lot of speakers, that's not the case. For a lot of speakers, they say, I have these raw stories, but I haven't developed them. I haven't really talked through what do I want that story to sound like that keeps it real, that keeps it authentic, but also polishes it in a way that takes out any noise, takes out any fluff, anything that's unnecessary or a potential distraction for your audience. What is the benefit of that? Well, working with a speaker coach can help you have the clarity that you need. And there are 3 reasons why, even if you have a great, amazing story that's natural to you, to still work with a speaker coach to get you the clarity that you need with how you tell that story from stage. As a speaker, you're likely familiar with your stories to the point where you've told them over and over and over again from different family members, friends, on podcasts, conferences, panels, workshops. You've told these stories over and over and over again and said, I love that story. But what you may not realize is because you're so familiar with that story, it's hard to see the blind spots. And sometimes, not just with being a speaker, but many ways in life, familiarity can lead to blind spots. You might be familiar with the quote, familiarity breeds contempt, but I say it can lead to blind spots. Think about your house you're living in. You're familiar to walking into your room, into your entranceway. I just never noticed that spot that needs painted on the wall because I walk past it every day and I'm okay with it and I live with it because hey, I don't need to paint it. But when you go to sell your house or move out of your condo, I don't realize that this has been something that I've been so comfortable with that it's actually something that I needed to take care of. I didn't realize it was a blind spot. In your stories, there's a parts of your stories you might say, I didn't realize that there are actually gaps in how I tell the story until a speaker coach can say, can you help me understand why you went from here to here in the story, or why you added in these details. Like let's say you're telling a story about growing up and camping. So I was going to camp, I was in 3rd grade, my buddy Joey was with me and we had blue sleeping bags and we were going to go fishing and then we thought we'd saw a bear on the way to camping. You say, well, does the bear have anything to do with going to camp? No, it's just something that we saw on the way. Does your blue sleeping bag have anything to do with camp? No, it just happened to be a detail. Okay, how about the fishing? Unless later in the story it involves a bear in your sleeping bag and fishing, take it out. That's all noise. But you've become so familiar with it, and again, we all do it. I do this with stories. It's going, I'm so familiar that I don't see, here are some places where I could actually polish and remove any of that noise, remove details that have nothing to do with the actual impact. What I'm doing is that I'm not changing the realness of that story, but I'm streamlining it. What's the story actually about and why you're including these exact details? But working with a speaker coach can remove some of those blind spots while also telling it in maybe a better way. The second thing you look at is that perspective is priceless, because a great speaker coach can say, what if we switch around the story? What if we tell this in a way that instead of you telling it in the order that you told it in, what if we take that 3rd part and we lead with that? And then that'll give us kind of a car chase or kind of this exciting point to start in the story. And you're not starting from growing up and telling it chronologically. We're interrupting the timeline to make it more interesting for the people who are following the story. And they see, here's how that could be a bit more interesting. It doesn't change the realness of the story. It doesn't change the authenticity of the story. It just tells it in maybe a little bit different order. And the perspective that a speaker coach in can say, what if we did this with this story? keeping it intact, but maybe changing the pieces in a few ways. Their perspective can help you see, is that the best story? Is that the best order in which to tell that story? Is this the best place in your talk for that story to fit? Or do we need to change up some pieces to make it a little bit more interesting while preserving the authenticity? The third thing that it does is it really challenges you to push your potential, because you have a couple of different options. For you as a speaker, you can keep telling the stories, and amazing stories, and making a great impact. And it likely will lead you to a plateau. Telling the same stories from the same audience, likely having the same type of impact. But what if you were settling? It's a great story. Yeah, but what if it could be amazing with a few tweaks that you may not be aware of because you're too close to that story? I'm too close to my stories. I need a speaker coach to come in and tell me, here are a couple things you can do to maybe elevate the quality of that story while keeping it intact. So you can do a plateau by not changing anything. Or what if you could challenge yourself saying, let's rethink or think differently about these stories that are so close to you, that says instead of plateauing, you actually get to reach your potential. And by doing this, what you're telling yourself is, these are good stories. I know they're good stories, but what if they could be great? What if they be from great to amazing? What if it's a way for me to tell the story in a way that removes the noise, that helps make a greater impact? And I'm too close to the story to say, am I actually settling because I think this is a great story, when really it could be amazing with a few tweaks, just from somebody else's perspective that wants me to serve my audience well, keep my story intact, but maybe tell the best version of that story. The right speaker coach can help you break free from familiarity, be able to challenge yourself to reach your full potential, and be able to get the perspective that you need to turn these raw, real stories into a powerful message without compromising on your integrity. If you love what I shared today, you can hit subscribe, you can give me the thumbs up, you can share in the comment section what's been your experience turning your story into a powerful message from stage, whether it's on podcasts or luncheons, conferences, whatever way that you get to share your stories. I'd love to hear about it in the comments section. What I've done over the past 5 years, I've worked with over 900 speakers one-on-one, help them take those stories and turn them into powerful messages with integrity. What I've done is I put together a video showing you, here are the top 7 takeaways, what I've learned working with that many speakers. You can learn from these takeaways about how to grow your speaking business, get paid more as a speaker, get booked for more speaking opportunities, and ultimately make a greater impact. So hit play on this next video. We'll see you there.